Today's training is on the difference between problems and solutions, and either being a problem-based person or a problem-solving person. And this is so important. And I promise you, in all areas of life, in every single area of your life, relationships, the corporate world, business, running a business, being employed within a business, fitness, fat loss, mental health, and everything in between, your ability to understand, uncover, highlight, and solve problems is the key to success in every area of life, especially in fat loss. And I've spoken about this so much, and I'm going to, because it's important to me, I'm going to relate this training today to fat loss, mental health, relationships, careers, and everything. Because what you'll realize over time is the learnings that I coach in these sessions, they apply to every single one of those areas. And every single one of those areas needs to be on point for you to be happy, healthy, and wealthy and be living your best life. It's no point having an insane body if you're completely miserable and depressed. It's no point having a world-class high-level job where you earn thousands if you're in a toxic relationship and you literally dread going home every day. You know, it's no point having kind of one thing if another area of your life is that toxic that it's wiping the other things out. So we're always looking to these areas, aren't we? Fun, family, finance, fitness, focus, body, being, business, relationships. And we'll come on to this more and more, but as well as our ability to solve problems, our ability to create worthwhile relationships, whether it be in the workplace, in life, in our families, and everything in between, is also one of the most critical points to success. Our ability to deal with other people. As we spoke about yesterday, there aren't positive people, there aren't negative people, there's just people. Okay, the positive or negative is your judgment and your opinion on them. So many people in fat loss, especially fat loss, like my social media at the minute is crazy. It's like Fitness Freshers Week, isn't it? There's every, I don't mean to be too derogatory about them, but there's every low-level online coach who's been in the game 5 minutes selling their 3-week, 5-week, 6-week shred. You know, come on board with me. You know, I know I'm only 19, but I'm going to teach you how to lose 6 million kilograms of fat in less than 3 days while still drinking beer and eating pizza, preying on people's pain points. And the problem is, when people are in this position, okay, I'm overweight, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overworked, I'm stressed, I'm not feeling great, I need to change. And then rather than considering the problem, they go straight to the solution, because little Johnny with his abs from down the road will get you insane shape for just £99 or whatever. And they go straight to the solution. Or it might be Weight Watchers or Slimming World or Juice Plus or Herbalife or cleansing or 5-2 or keto or intermittent fasting or any of the other crap that's packaged and pitched to naive people. Now, the first thing that these naive people do, and this might be you, and we've all made those mistakes, I've made those mistakes with about 25 six-figure business mentors who knew very little apart from how to run Facebook ads, which funnily enough just gets you a whole load of people that don't know, like, or trust you, and they never buy from you. So you get lots of clicks, you get lots of leads, you get lots of attention. Oh, look at all these stats, but they don't know you, they don't trust you, and they won't invest in you. So again, it's the same thing. So how many times have you, or how many millions of people, before thinking, hang on, why am I fat? Why do I drink so much? Why do I keep taking drugs? Why do I gamble? Why is my relationship with my wife so toxic? Why do I hate going to work? We don't ask that question. We don't look to understand the problem. Very often, we don't even highlight the problem. We just go straight to the solution. And if you don't really know what caused the thing that needs fixing, then you're not really ever going to be able to fix it. And it's the same with mental health. You know, I'm feeling really down, I'm feeling depressed, I need therapy, I need counseling. Well, no, we could maybe start with trying to understand why you're emotionally feeling that way in the first place. What are the triggers? What happened? When do you normally feel like this? What's your palate like? What's going in your eyes? What's going in your ears? What's going up your nose? What's going down your throat? What's going in your mouth? You know, and look to understand why we are where we are before we look for the solution. So, you know, this will very often lead to people, especially someone like me with ADHD, going straight into this impulsivity. Before you know it, you've got 7 coaches, you've got a business mentor, you've signed up in this course, you signed up in that course, you've signed up to all these things, all these shiny objects that are all over the internet. They're in your emails every day because you downloaded the free lead magnet. Then you've clicked their post on Facebook, so their ads are stalking to you. And eventually you invest your money in this thing before even understanding what the problem was. So again, it's like not just men, but very often it is men. You know, I'm angry. I get so angry all the time. Right, I need to go to anger management. Well, no, you don't. You need to understand what's making you angry. You know, I'm depressed. I need therapy. You might not need therapy. You need to understand what is causing those emotions. You know, I'm fat. I need a PT. I'm fat. I need an online training and nutrition coach. Well, no, maybe we need to understand what habits led to you being fat in the first place. So very often as well, and this is a whole new training, so I'm not going to go into it too much today, a whole nother training, but there's a training that I do, which I'm going to re-deliver called the not to-do list. The not to-do list, and as Ryan Holiday describes them, non-growth habits. So that's a little task that you can take away from this training today. Create yourself, in preparation for that training, a not to-do list. What do you need to stop doing? The first time I did mine, there were about 33 things on it. Crazy. 33 things that I just needed to stop doing. And if I just stopped doing those things, everything in my life was going to become a lot easier. And it did. I didn't get them perfect. None of us are perfect. I still slip back into doing some of them. I still do these days. So, but how great is that? God, so what you're telling me is I don't actually need to do anything that I'm not already doing to massively upscale every area of my life. In fact, all I actually need to do is just stop doing what might be a long list of non-growth habits. So without shadow of a doubt, and especially in the corporate world, and those of you who know the corporate world, the highest paid and the highest valued people are the ones that can find the solutions to the most difficult problems without having to have their hand held. Like, if you've either had a business or you've worked in a business, how good is it as a business owner when you've got this employee and he's just got this attitude of, yeah, Lee, don't worry about that. I know how to solve that problem. I've got it handled. It's cool. Jesus. Like, who's going to get the pay rise? Who becomes the highest paid person in all corporate industries is the person that can solve the most difficult problems. Evan, I can see you're watching as well. He's here. Evan, where are you? I'm going to unmute you very quickly.
One guess.
You are somewhere. You're not in Meyerhofen, are you?
I'm in Lanzarote.
He's in Lanzarote. So I'll tell you guys a little story. Evan was is a tour manager and looked after me when I played at Snowbombing in Austria. And the only reason why I've said that, Evan, is because like Evan on one day, and bear in mind the amount of drinking and other stuff we were doing at the time, Evan was in charge of the entire snowpark terrace, right? That's like 20 to 30 diva DJs throughout the week that all needed picking up. We all want picking up from our hotel and a sandwich and a coffee bringing, and then taking back down the mountain, and then our hands holding into the bar to someone to get, DJs can't possibly do anything on their own. You couldn't possibly go to the bar and get yourself some food in the middle of the day. So, but again, why Evan and I know Evan's boss at Snowbombing very well, why Evan would have been so highly valued as the team manager and the arch liaison of that area is whatever happened, he handled it. Like, there wasn't really ever, like, we might as well have covered some stuff up that happened that didn't get handled, but we still handled that. But, he would just take care of things. And that's what, that's what a high value, successful person becomes. They just know how to handle problems. You know, they don't, oh shit, the mic's gone down. How do I need to drink? Oh my God, this has happened. All these problems are going off and not now to handle it. No, they just handle the problem. That they find the solution quickly and they get it handled. And if you can solve problems that nobody else can solve, and if you can solve them quicker, and if you can solve them without having to involve other people, that is when you will become a very high value person. And if you can begin to do that in your own life, like how many like people are there, right? Like that's next level when you can solve the highest, most difficult problems quickly, you become the most valuable person and will be valued and tracked and paid as a result of that. But the world is full of people, isn't it, that just want to talk about your problems. Like the amount of people that want to book a call with me and I'll be like, yeah, sure. What do you want to get handled? Well, the thing is, Lee, the problem with me is I'm like, no. I don't want to hear your story. It's boring. Sorry. That means to be rude, but it's boring. And me giving you another platform to tell me that story, tell you that story isn't going to help you. What do you want to get handled? Well, they can't do it. They've become that fixated in talking about their problems, their mental health, their fat loss, their everything that's wrong in the world, their busyness, the fact that they've got kids, their financials, their everything. It's like, oh my God. And I'll be like, imagine if we could channel this energy that you keep talking about on all those problems into the solutions. How do you think your life would look then? And it's massive because it gets even worse because these people then kind of gravitate towards each other like positive people do. I always tell this, like I've told this story many times, but a long time ago when I was a PT I used to literally like virtually wet myself with these conversations because I used to be a PT at Sitwell Arms. I used to go in and I used to go on the left-hand cross trainer, Autism Overdrive, same cross trainer every day, same thing on the TV right in front of it. And these two women used to come and sit. I hope none of them are on YouTube or watch this video or join up. But these two women used to come and sit on the rower, right? And they'd be wearing like this. I'd be like, fuck me, love. If you pull that rower any slower, it's not even going to move. And it's a good job you're not in water because you'd sink. And then the first one would say, yeah, you see, my problem is, and she'd say her problem, and the other one would say, yeah, I'm the same. And then for fucking 60 solid minutes, like I had to put my headphones in because I'm like, I can't even listen to this. It's that draining. They never offered any solutions. They never tried to help anyone out. And I see it all the time. I see it when I used to walk Frankie, my dog, around by the valley. Like, oh, do you fancy going for a walk and put the world to rights? Well, no, not really, no. Do you want to go for a walk and chat about some exciting, compelling goals and a vision of our future that we want to create, that we can run towards every day and pull each other up? Yeah, I'm in for that. Do I want to go and talk about putting the world to rights? No, not really. Not my responsibility. But they not only talk about the problems, they then blame, complain, and justify without ever taking ownership and without ever taking responsibility. And remember these two things. Like if you take anything away from this 90 days, remember these two things, and I would write them down. Number one is, as long as you try to blame anyone or anything for why you are where you are, you will always stay stuck. That's number one. And number two, anything that you can't say thank you for will also keep you stuck. Remember, I told the story yesterday, going that deep that I can say thank you to my dad for pissing off at 6 months old after my mum had died, because he taught me how to be an incredible father that I am today. He taught me the importance of a son having a father as a role model. He taught me everything that I needed to do to be the man I am today and be the leader that I am to Logan and other people. You know, I'm grateful for my depression. I'm grateful for attempting suicide. I'm grateful for my years of taking drugs because they taught me how not to be. And if I hadn't gone to rock bottom and had to go back up, I wouldn't be sat here helping you now and impacting thousands more people. So again, anything or anyone you can't say thank you to will always keep you stuck. You know, guys know this, I'm massive on gratitude. But so many people are willing to keep talking about their problems, their story. Paul Moore's, like I always go back to this when, you know, Paul Moore, I would be forever grateful as well. He's the first coach who really pulled me out of the pit. And we were on a first call, and it's He's just, let me stop you there. Cool story, bro. Cool story. What do you want to have happen? And another story was the same, right? And this is how we want to be around solution-based people. And how many people are actually ready to find the solutions and take action towards it? And just slightly cover your kids' ears on this story. I will pre-warn you, but I need to just put this word in because it was so funny. So basically, I signed up with I signed up with a fitness marketing adverts company, shall we say, who were exactly what I was talking about, right? Sold in, claimed that the sales call was recorded. And I said to them, listen, right, I'm not doing some copy and paste like Facebook marketing ads thing. You know, I know what I want. I know what the copy needs to be. I know what my video needs to be. I just need someone to do the actual processes of running that. Anyway, they agreed to it all. Within weeks, it became very, very fractious. They put these ads out. They were literally, right, that like, Lee, you've got 500 likes. Brilliant. I've made no sales. But this advert's reached, you know, the imprints on this are like 64,000 people. Great. I've got no sales. But we've got you these 400 phone numbers. Basically, the adverts were that loose. It basically said, are you a man from Chesterfield and are you fat? Yes, click your number, put it in here. And then they expected me to cold call these people and try and sell my services to them. Can you imagine that? You've just filled in an advert late at night on Facebook saying that you wanted to download a fat loss ebook. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call. Like I actually tried it because I thought, do you know what? I won't actually try it. Sorry, who are you? Are you a PT? Are you a boot camp? Are you a gym? Like they didn't, not only were they not, they didn't know, like, and trust me, not only were they not sold in, they didn't even fucking know who I am. And I don't know what you guys are like, but I don't really appreciate getting phone calls from people trying to sell me things at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I might be at work or with my kids. So I was very angry about it. And Paul said, what's the situation with FMA? And I went, yeah. And I left him, right? I left him. Bearing in mind, like, this guy's expensive. He was $1,000 a month for mentoring. And it's the best thing he's ever taught me. But at the time, I was fuming and I wanted to punch his face in. I left him about a 4.5-minute voice note, basically ranting about fitness marketing agency, ranting about everything that had gone bad, all this stuff. And his reply came back. I'm thinking, that was quick. He can't even listen to that. And this was his exact reply. Fuck me, bro. I'm not even going to listen to that podcast. I'd have to carve time into my schedule to listen to that cunt. Answer me this one simple question. What do you want to have happen next? And I went, we need more leads. He went, right. And that's it. We're off. We forgot about FMA. We dropped the anger. We forgot about the problem. The money was gone. It didn't matter who was responsible, what wasn't recorded, how they were, and we just focused on getting lead. And that is the truest story that I can ever tell, because it's like the problems happened, right? Giving more energy and anger to the thing that's happened and you can't change and it didn't work and the reasons why and whose fault it was and all that is never, ever, ever going to lead to success. And like, drop me a yes in the comments, either on, make sure if you're on Facebook, you do comment #replay so I know you've watched it. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, make sure you comment on it so I know you've watched it. If you haven't and you're struggling with something like this, I will end up calling you out. And drop me a yes if you've ever said these words or heard them said many, many, many times. My problem is so many. You see, Stephen, the problem with me is, my problem is, see, the problem with exes, and we're back for that thing, right? The quickest way to drain your energy is to try and change other people, especially if they don't want to be changed. We can't do that. That's why I'll always be, it's one of my favorite phrases from Paul as well. Be a lighthouse, not a tugboat. Like, I will keep being a lighthouse. I will keep leading you. I will keep giving you the information. I will hold you accountable. I will text you. I will email you. I will show up for you daily. But if you don't want to do the fucking work, I'm not dragging you. I'm not going to waste, I'm not going to drain my energy trying to drag somebody to do something they don't want to do. That's on you, not me. I'm not going to do that. And you guys need to be the same in your life. Don't try and drag someone somewhere they don't want to go. This is why couples go so wrong. Like, husband or wife gets into personal development, gets into fitness, starts seeing all these positive benefits, right? Dropping weight, feeling more confident. They've got this new fear group. We're not in a fear group, this new peer group where you guys might be right now. And all of a sudden they're like, right, everyone in the world, including my friends list, right? If you drink alcohol, you're a loser. If you're not into personal development, you're a waster. If you eat shit, you deserve to be shot. And they go on this, and they're like, and it's only because it's not really their fault either, because they've just seen such positive benefits. But they become so preachy that they're like, everyone now needs to live the life that I live. And if they don't, then they're losers. They're not, they're just them. And they're where they are on their journey at this time, which is exactly where they should be. And how you can, this will build into what Alison said yesterday. This is how you can kind of pacify that as well, because I hear it a lot that this is, oh, Leah, I'm loving this so much, but my husband just doesn't support me. My question's always the same. Why do you need him to? It's very difficult to answer. My wife just doesn't support my fitness journey. Why do you need her to? Why do you need her to be like your cheerleader in order for you to be okay? Be your own fucking cheerleader. Like, I don't need anyone on my team for me to be okay. And it took me a long time to get there. I needed a lot of significance, a lot of backslapping, a lot of validation. Told the story all the time about the houses and the cars and all the things that I did to try and be loved, the naked selfies every day on my Instagram stories, please love me and all that. Like, I don't need it now. Don't need it now. I still need a little bit. We all need a little bit of love and validation. But, you know, and this is when it's that friction, because you've got one person pulling in this direction, you've got one person pulling in this direction, and then you're wondering why you're falling out all the time. Whereas when we can just be okay with where everyone is on their journey, and that's cool. And like, I'm here, you want to join me? Great. You don't want to join me? That's great too. But again, and you know, like this has to go on both parts, because again, it's, you know, it happens sometimes when people get into business and growth, and it's like all of a sudden it's like they want their wife to be the same, or they want their husband to be the same, and they're like, well, they're not, because your partner isn't that person. You've got into this and you want to upscale your life, great. They shouldn't have to come with you in order for you to be okay. You can both be okay with where each other are on that journey. And that's what I would say in that situation. Listen, right, I'm going for a run today at 11 o'clock and nobody's going to stop me. If you would like to come for a run with me too, I would love you there. However, if you'd rather stay at home and watch Netflix and eat Greggs, I'm totally cool. I love you anyway. See how pacified that is. Like, what not? Why don't you want to come for a run with me? But then again, it has to work both ways. So again, I've had numerous situations where I'm going to be careful here and not mention the names, but one lady's husband actually said to him that FitX, who had lost 6 stone, stopped drinking and saved his own life, wasn't any fun anymore. And she actually preferred FatX because she had a drinking partner every weekend. And that's wrong as well. And we've just both gone off on a tangent here, but we both just have to be okay with both areas and understanding that we all where we are, where we should be. So when we say this, you know, when we go back to this phrase that I just said, my problem is, that's when you need to again have the alarm bell. You know, when I said about the automatic negative thoughts and we're talking about the weeds on the road, and just this one little weed outside, go and pick it up and deal with it. And then it won't grow and it won't infest until it's an oak tree and you can't get out of it. You know, it's the same with these problems. Every time you catch yourself saying, yeah, see, the thing with my problem is, no, what's the solution? What's the solution? Because again, the difference is with kind of these problems and these challenges and all of these things, like successful people have a bad 10 minutes, unsuccessful people have a bad day. Because successful people will be like, shit, problem, challenge, what's happening? How do I deal with it? How do I fix with it? Like, my head's going a bit, right, I'm going to go for a walk. But the successful people will identify, understand, and take the appropriate action to solve the problem, be it in business, body fat, relationships, anything, not just allow it to fester and talk about it until it's the most dominant thoughts. Because, you know, this is what makes things happen when we're fixated on the solutions, not fixated on the problems. And that is the difference between kind of winning and losing, really. Winners and losers are both presented with the same challenge. The people who lose, they only focus on the challenge and how bad it is and how difficult it is and how they can't overcome it, and they're fixated on the problem. And then they become that fixated on everyone and everything that's bad in the world, their relationships, their career, their body weight, their mental health, and everything else, that they just procrastinate because that's all they're thinking about. Dominant thoughts, right? Whereas winners will straight away identify the cause. Why is this happening? Why do I feel this way? There's another training on this in the Facebook group. What, why, lesson, apply. That's another one to write around. Like, what's happening here? Okay. Why is this happening? What's the lesson that I've just learned? And how am I going to apply it moving forwards? So this then helps us sometimes, and this is what's the phrase I had the other day? I pissed myself. Someone said to me the other day, the problem is, and there we go, I've just said it without even thinking about it. The problem with some people is, Lee, the only way they can learn to tie their shoelaces is by smashing their head into the pavement. And the point that they were making is that people will just keep doing that until they learn to tie their shoelaces, rather than just looking for an easier way to do it. So when we look for these solutions, it's not only finding the solution to the problem, but also then thinking, how can I prevent this happening in the future? Because otherwise I kind of solved the problem, but I didn't accept the lesson. And then you're going to face the problem again and again and again. So, you know, when we can just channel all our energy into, right, what's happening? Why am I feeling this way? What's the solution? No matter how small or big the problem is, this doesn't have to be big things. Like a classic one with me is, and I know a lot of people experience this, sometimes it's like, you know, when you're like self-employed, I'm not even joking, I've sat here for like 18 hours before and only left to like have a coffee or go for a pee or something. And I think, well, hang on, what happened when you like had a job? Without even thinking about it, habits, right? Right, I'm going on my lunch now. And you went and had your lunch and you had your food and your fresh air and you walk and you felt better. But again, you know, this is just a tiny little problem that I've identified recently, of starting to get frustrated, starting to get headaches, starting to, you know, I've talked about this a lot sometimes with, you know, when ADHD hits in, I can hit peak flow and do 18 hours of insane work to a level, and that will go like, how on earth have you done all that today? I can also hit 18 hours when I do nothing but flick on Instagram, have 10 tabs open, keep going into the kitchen. Then I'll go into the kitchen, rather than just making a coffee, I'll do the washing up, rearrange everything in the kitchen, put some washing in, take some drying upstairs, organize my t-shirts into color order, might make the bed whilst I'm there, then decide I want to have a shirt, and just lose like 5 hours and then get really angry because I've not done any work. So that's a typical example of a problem. Now, the way I've told those two problems is, one, if I start to kind of slump and feel tired, I will just literally slam this laptop down without even thinking about it and just go out. I might go and have a sunbed. I might go to coffee house. I might sometimes just go for a drive. I need to change my environment because nothing is going to get done when I'm in that state. And the other thing that I've done is, when that level of ADHD kicks in, and you have to experience it to understand it. It's a superpower, but it can be a drawback. When I become that mentally like strained that there's 10 million things going around my head, I'm like looking down this list and I'm like, I've got 20 jobs and I've spent like 3 minutes on each one and not done anything. You know, now what I've learned to do is I don't fight it. And I don't beat myself up for not fighting it. I'll just go and watch TV for 2 hours. And that'd be like, well, what? That's a bit daftly. Why are you doing that when you're so busy and you've got so much to do? Because I understand when I've hit that point of mental exhaustion, I'm only going to make it 100 times worse by trying to find peak flow when I can't find it. And the best way for me to deal with it is to remove myself from the environment and then come back and try again. And it actually works. So that's just a case of how I've identified a massive problem and now solved it, rather than I could just go, oh, my ADHD, my ADHD, my ADHD, you know, and just moan about it and talk about it and blame and complain and justify. As I said, it's a superpower. My brain's a Ferrari. I just need to learn how to drive it without crashing it into walls sometimes. So very much with this training, it is that alarm bell in your head that I want you to take away today. Am I fixating on any problems most recently? Am I fixated on my problems, or am I fixated on the solutions? And what I want you to do is I want you just to remember that one question. I've said this so many times, guys. Questions, these questions. One, questions are the steering wheel of the mind, because whatever questions you ask will steer the mind where it's going to go. And that is a great affirmation to work around. When we're frustrated, like I said yesterday, not why is this person treating me like this? Why is this person treating me like this? Like, what's the answer? Why am I, why don't I get rid of like this? Why am I feeling like this? I'm tired. Go rest, and it will really, really help you. But in regards to any of those things, I'm going to go back to just Paul's question, because that is a world-class question. What do you want to have happen next? In any area of your life, ask yourself, what do I want to have happen next? And just remember that. And also, and we all guys, we all get drawn into arguments. We all get drawn into tittle tattle. We can get drawn into an email, anything confrontational. If you're with anyone or anything or any area of life, when anything is fractious and confrontational, I guarantee you 99 times out of 100, and I learned this as well from years of working on doors, you can pacify everything by asking a question. If people come at you with an attack, they want an attack back. They want a judgment. They want a statement. They want anger. Why are you behaving like this? Do you know how frustrating that is to a really angry man that wants to just punch you in the face for no reason at all? Can I just ask you, why are you behaving like this? Because they can't answer it. It almost kills them with stupidity, because if they actually answered the question, there's not really an answer to it. And this will help in many areas of your life, that you can ask questions in other way. There's a famous quote as well that's just triggered my head thinking about working doors. Who's old enough to have watched Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze in it? Right, and he basically he's got all these Neanderthal doormen, right, and they're like, the only way that they know how to deal with problems is by like smashing their heads off of people. And he tells this great story in the film, and he says that there's one of his big old doormen, and he says, it's like, I told you, like, his rules were, okay, we take the problem outside and we solve the problem and we take them all out, and then we don't fight unless it's absolutely necessary. Anyway, they all get into a massive fight, and he says, well, what happened? Why did you get into that fight? It's like, he called my mother a whore. And he just says, well, is she? So see how it's just a question. And it's like, well, no, she's not. So what's the answer? It's just he describes it as I think he says it's just a 4-word phrase that's been engineered to try and gain a response. You respond, you lose. So you just ask questions. So again, take that away in any area of your life. When something's happening that you're struggling, what questions can you ask? Rather than statements, problems, blaming, complaining, and justify. And I also wrote this down today from Alistair McGaw. It's an absolute great quote. It's on one of his podcasts. And it's actually from, I've never heard him say this. I don't know what film it is. Captain Jack Sparrow said, the problem is not the problem. The problem is the attitude that you have about the problem. And I kind of journaled out, and that's so true. It's like most of the problems that we face, it's not the problem that's real, the problem. When the problem comes, is how we deal with it. So that, as an example, let's say you have the problem of someone being aggressive to you. Now, it becomes a problem if you're aggressive back. And then it turns into a fight, and then someone gets hurt, and then energy's wasted, and people are angry, and they fall out, and all these things. Well, if you use that example, the problem's not the problem. The problem is the attitude about the problem. So it's whether you choose to respond or not. Remember this, no response is always the best response. So there was a problem, but my attitude about the problem meant it wasn't a problem, because it's the way that I handled it. And this is that going into what I talked about in Daniel Gorman's book, Emotional Intelligence. When we're working on our emotional intelligence, that's the level between getting triggered and taking action. So again, you can even breathe this into food, right? Or responding, so to speak. So if someone triggers you, if you're like straight down their neck as soon as they've said it, then sorry to put this to you, but you've got a very low level of emotional intelligence. A high level emotional intelligence will think, right, why are they behaving like that? What's actually happened? What questions can I ask? And then pacify the situation. And again, it's the same as when I've talked about stress and an emotional response. It's us that creates the stress, just like our response to the problem. So let's say, I've told this story many times as well. Let's say right now the bin man comes down that road and he slips his foot off the accelerator and he goes straight into my car. It's a problem, right? It's going to be a bit of a problem. And I'll tell a story about Jan as well. Well, it only really becomes a massive problem if my attitude and how I deal with it. It only really becomes a stressful, angry, aggressive situation if I allow to deal with it that way. I can either go outside and I can be like, oh my God, I literally can't believe this has happened. But guess what? It has, and I can't change it. So what do I need to do next? What do I want to have happen next? What's the best way for me to deal with it? Well, as a decent person, first of all, I'll check that everybody's all right. Secondly, it is what it is. The car's a write-off. Or I can go out and I can go, you fucking idiot. And I can then have a scrap with the bin man in the middle of the road because he's just written my car off. I wish someone would write it off because I think I'd get more for it on insurance than if I tried to sell it now. And then the police would get called and then he'd get arrested. And then I could do a post on Facebook. I could take some pictures, get some more support, and just allow the entire day to be destroyed. When really you think at the end of the day, it's just one of those things that's happened. So the problem, the situation, the circumstance, the argument, and everything in between all comes down to the attitude of how you deal with it, not the actual problem. And as we've said so many times in this previous trainings, who controls your attitude? You do. You control your response, and your response is your responsibility, which is why the word response is in responsibility. It's your ability to respond, your responsibility. And this comes from your thoughts, your initial thoughts, because thoughts lead to actions, lead to habits, leads to beliefs, and these lead to the outcomes that we will get. Guys, I love you all. Have a phenomenal weekend, and I look forward to seeing you early on Monday. I'm going to post the details up about the event. Everyone's welcome on the 27th of June, but you do need to get 27th of June, 27th of January, but you do need to get a ticket. And I will also post up all the replays of the last thing. But anyone, again, if you are new watching this, do not panic because there will be another welcome meeting on Tuesday night, and I'll make sure everyone is completely handled. Have an awesome weekend.